Hudson salesman, I think you'll agree that the automobile industry has done a remarkable job of stimulating sales by coming out with new models every year. It's difficult to think of another product which arouses so much public interest and curiosity when new models or styles are announced. Unless, of course, it's women's bathing suits. But while there are a great many advantages in having new models every year, one problem that arises is that of selling the current models on hand when rumors of the new models are arousing public interest. We're going to tackle that problem in today's meeting, see if we can all improve our handling of the prospect who says,
I like this, Hudson, all right, but your new models will be out soon. I might as well wait.
Selling cars at the end of the model year is a challenge really worthwhile for us to exchange. But now, let's listen to what Hudson salesman Roy Lundberg, I might tell you first today, is that last year, during the period from September to February, Roy sold an average of 10 cars a month, topping 4 other salesmen in his dealership and doing a nice job of helping his organization clean up a heavy inventory at the end of the year. Will you tell us, Roy, how you were able to move those cars?
Well, for one thing, I had a lot of help from the dealership.
Yes, as I understand it, your dealership organized a high-powered cleanup drive. Will you tell us about it, Roy?
Sure, glad to. The most important part of it was a 2-week telephone campaign. Everybody, and I mean everybody in the dealership made phone calls all day long. We had telephones jangling all over town. Of course, we sent out a lot of postcards every day, too. We made home-to-home calls and gave demonstrations every chance we got. Also, the dealership advertised our clearance sale heavily in the local papers and over the radio. Oh, yes, another thing we did was to go back into our files for all the deals we weren't able to close in the past few months. We got in touch with these people, and if they hadn't bought a new car yet, we tried to make an appointment with them. Get another opportunity to close a deal.
You forgot to mention, Roy, that you worked out a novel telephone approach that really did a nice job of locating prospects.
Oh, yes, that's right. The telephone pitch we used turned out to be a darn good one. We concentrated on owners of 2 to 5-year-old Hudsons, Packards, Studebakers, Buicks, DeSotos, and Nashes.
I see. Well, right now, I'm going to play a tape recording of a typical phone call made during the listening and get a good idea of how it worked. Okay, if you're all set, here it is.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Robbins?
Yeah, this is George Robbins.
Oh, fine. Mr. Robbins, this is Roy Lundberg. I'm a new car salesman.
Yeah?
The reason I called is to ask you this question. If you can get a really sensational bargain price this week on a new car, I mean a terrific savings of hundreds of dollars, would you be interested in taking advantage of it?
Well, I might be. What kind of a car are you selling? And just how much of a bargain are you really giving?
You're a Packard owner, aren't you, Mr. Robbins?
Yeah.
My record shows you have a 1951 Packard sedan.
Yeah, that's right, but...
I can tell you this, Mr. Robbins. You'll be amazed when you see what we're going to give you for that car. When can I come over to look at it? How about this afternoon sometime?
Well, no, I can't make it this afternoon. Could you come over this evening, say about 7:30?
Sure can. Be glad to. Do you still live at 418 Orchard Street?
No, I moved from there last month. I'm at 210 Meadow Street now.
Okay, I've got that. See you at 7:30. Bye, Mr. Robbins.
Bye.
Well, I guess everyone can see why that approach turned up a lot of prospects. Did you notice that Roy qualified his man right away, asking him if he would buy this week if he got a terrific bargain? As I understand it, the way it was done, if the person answering said he was not interested in a new car, even at a bargain price, the salesman asked him if he knew of anyone that might be interested in saving money on a new car. And he always finished up by asking the prospect to tell his friends and acquaintances that the local Hudson dealer was giving sensational deals in order to get ready for the new model.
That's right. We wanted to get some value out of every call we made.
Did you notice, too, that Roy did not say what make of car he was selling, but simply identified himself as a new car salesman? What's the reason for that, Roy?
Well, we all know that car owners usually decide they like this or that make of car and have a closed mind on the other makes. Our objective when making the phone call is to locate people who are willing to buy a new car if they can get a bargain. So we avoid mentioning the make of car and try to keep the prospect's interest focused on the price. Of course, when we go out to appraise his used car, we take along a snappy-looking demonstrator and try to get the prospect out for a ride and sold on Hudson first before giving the appraisal on his old car.
In other words, you went to the prospects rather than wait for them to come into the dealership.
Yes, we believe this is the best way of locating real prospects today.
But let's move on now to the problem of overcoming a prospect's objection that he wants to wait for the new models. How do you handle that, Roy?
Well, I'm not saying I know all the answers to that problem, but I can tell you the way I try to handle it.
Okay, fair enough. And after we've heard your ideas, we'll talk them over and see what we can add to them.
All right by me. Well, you remember this Robbins fellow, the one on that tape-recorded telephone call?
Uh-huh.
Well, let me tell you what happened when I tried to sell him. After giving him a feature presentation and a demo, he told me he liked the Hornet I was showing him very much. But when I tried to close the sale... Yes, sir, Mr. Robbins. I knew you'd like the Hudson once you had a chance to drive it. Most everyone does. Now, did you want to pay the balance in cash or have us finance it for you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I've been thinking. Your new models will probably be out pretty soon now. Maybe I'd be better off waiting a little while.
Why do you want to wait?
Oh, I don't know. New models might be a much better car all around. I might be sorry I didn't wait a little while longer.
You like this Hudson I'm showing you, and nobody knows for certain what the new models will look like. They'll probably be this year's model with just a facelifting. After all, those body dyes are too expensive to throw away every year.
Maybe so, but on the other hand, by buying now, I'd be taking a year's depreciation in just a couple of months.
Mr. Robbins, look at the deal we're giving you on this Hornet. Now, your present car lists in the book for $550, and we're allowing you $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
That's $450 you're saving by taking this current model.
Yeah, but in a couple of months, the depreciation will be a lot more than $450. I'm not really gaining anything by buying now.
Sure you are. You're getting new car transportation and enjoyment for $450 less than other people have paid for the same car. Well, you're getting a terrific buy, believe me.
I don't know about that. Maybe a few months from now, I could buy one of the new models and still get about the same deal I'm getting now.
When the new models come out, Mr. Robbins, dealers don't get enough of them during the first few months to meet the demand.
So?
Now, no dealer gives over-allowances under those conditions. Actually, you'd have to wait until this time next year to get the kind of deal we're offering you right now. And don't forget, against the new models, your car will be a year older and worth much less.
I hadn't thought about that.
Besides, used car prices are at their lowest during the winter months when the new models come out. So your car wouldn't be worth as much for that reason also.
Yeah, I guess that's true, all right.
Another thing, if you wait for the new models, you'll have to drive your old car in some of the worst driving weather of the year. And as we both agreed, you'd have to spend at least $100 on your old car to put it into good shape, especially for winter driving and hard starting. If you spent that kind of money on your old car, you'd never get it back.
Well, I don't know. Let me think this whole thing over. No need to rush into this thing.
Oh, I don't want you to feel rushed, Mr. Robbins, but we are making terrific deals and we are selling a lot of cars. I'd like to see you get in on this clearance sale before it ends next Saturday.
Sale ends next Saturday, huh?
We'll cut in here to analyze this prospective sale as it has gone up to this point. What do you think of Roy's handling so far? And how would you close this sale if you were handling it? After we've discussed the questions on the voting sheet that goes along with this record, we'll hear what a panel of top-notch Hudson salesmen and dealers has to say about this case. Gentlemen, if your discussion of the questions on the voting sheet was as lively and stimulating as that of the panels, then this case cast has served its purpose of getting some helpful thinking on what has long been a challenging problem to automobile dealers and salesmen. From Labor Day on, interest in the new models coming out is likely to be a stumbling block in making sales of current models. But this obstacle has to be met and overcome, because selling cars is not a seasonal occupation. We've got to sell them 12 months a year. Let's listen now to how the very same questions you've been discussing were answered by a panel made up of some of the most successful dealers and salesmen in the Hudson Retail Organization. These men are doing a nice job with Hudson Automobiles. So while you don't have to take their word as gospel, just remember they wouldn't be successful if their ideas were too far off base. Keep your voting sheets in front of you and compare their answers with yours. Question 1 asked, what you thought of going back into the files near the end of a model year and trying to revive some recent deals which fell through. The panel picked answer C. They thought this was good selling and well worthwhile. A few of the panel members admitted they hadn't kept the details of lost deals in a personal file and decided to start doing this. Sure, maybe most of the prospects you call up will have already bought, but even if you revive only one deal, it pays off, especially at the end of a model year when prospects are hard to come by. Question 2 asked what you thought of this question asked by Roy when the prospect answered the phone.
If you can get a really sensational bargain price this week on a new car, and I mean a terrific savings of hundreds of dollars, would you be interested in taking advantage of it?
The panel liked this approach and chose answer C. They thought this kind of question was ideal for a blitz telephone campaign to locate potential buyers.
Yes, that's right. This kind of an approach gets right down to brass tacks and eliminates a lot of time-wasting talk. You'll remember that Roy Lundberg, the salesman in this case, said the call to 5-year-old cars of independent makes, as well as DeSoto and Buick owners. These are but you may want to include others. Anyway, by asking a question which gets right down to the point like this, you can make a slew of calls in a few hours and locate a number of good prospects in that time. Give it a try.
Moving along to question 3, you were asked your opinion of not mentioning during the telephone call the make of car you were selling. The panel had quite a time kicking this one around. Some members held out for answer B, feeling that the people you call will insist on knowing what make of car is involved. But most of the panel voted for answer A. They liked the idea. They thought it was just the kind of thing that would get people curious and interested.
That's right. Let's face the fact that there are a lot of people who don't realize a Hudson is a top-quality, fine-performing automobile. And why is that? Because they've never driven in one, never mind owned one. Our job as Hudson salesmen is to open people's minds, to open their eyes to the outstanding comfort, safety, economy, and performance built into Hudson automobiles. We've got to get them to put their preconceived notions aside and judge our cars fairly. If we could do that on a big enough scale, get them to judge our cars fairly, believe me, 10 times as many Hudsons would be bought every year. But people have preconceived ideas about things. If you don't believe that, try going down to the busiest corner in your town and selling $1 bills for 25 cents. Most of the people will pass up that good deal because they'll have their minds made up that it can't be true. Anyway, that's why I voted for answer A to question 3. I believe any stunt you can use to get past people's preconceived ideas, to get them to see the value and quality and performance built into Hudson cars is well worth trying. We've got the cars. We've just got to get more people to realize it.
We're all with you there. The panel especially liked the idea of offering to go out to the prospect's house to appraise his car. Prospects will go along with this idea quicker than they would if you said you were coming out to show them the new car. If the salesmen don't make appraisals at your dealership, tentative estimates can be given and confirmed or adjusted at the dealership later on. Well, you'll remember Roy tried to close the sale by asking the prospect if he wanted to pay the balance in cash or finance it. The prospect replied,
Well, as a matter of fact, I've been thinking. Your new models will probably be out pretty soon now. Now, maybe I'd be better off waiting a little while.
Roy asked the prospect why he wanted to wait. Question 4 asked what you thought of asking this question. The panel thought Roy did the right thing here. They chose answer C. Here's a panel member to explain.
Roy made a good move here. The best way to handle any objection is to find out why the prospect raises it. Prospects may want to wait for the new model because of hearing or reading that a particular new feature will be introduced or that the appearance will be sensational. Whatever the reason, if you know what that is, you can play down its importance, minimize it. If you don't know exactly why a prospect wants to wait, you have to keep talking about the attractiveness of the deal you're offering.
When the prospect suggested that the new model coming out might be a much better car all around, Roy replied,
Nobody knows for certain what the new models will look like. After all, those body dyes are too expensive to throw away every year.
Question 5 asked what you thought of playing down the new models like this. The panel saw nothing wrong with it. They chose answer A, saying that it's always a good idea in selling to push for an immediate sale, and that's what Roy was doing here.
Yes, as we all know, prospects get excited about what the new models are going to look like. They're afraid they might miss out on something good. I even think it's a good idea to appeal to the prospect's practical side by reminding him that what he really wants in a car is dependable transportation and the pleasure of new car performance. And that is what he's getting when he buys the current model. In addition, he gets a saving of several $100s just because the styling is going to change.
Well, Roy gave the prospect a number of reasons for buying now. And question 6 asked which one you thought would be most persuasive when talking with a prospect. The panel agreed that all of these points were well worth making. However, they gave a slight edge to point A as being the most impressive.
That's right. And another point that could be made is that if the prospect buys a new model when they first come out, he may have to drive it home from the dealership in snow or slush, and will be breaking it in cold weather, starting it when the oil is stiff and the engine not properly lubricated. This isn't a big point, but it's worth making in those areas where winters are cold.
Well, the last question asked your opinion of Roy's chances of closing this sale. The panel thought Roy's best chances lay in a good dollars and cents story about the savings involved in buying now. Answer D.
Yes, price is the big attraction for end-of-the-year buyers. That's why the telephone approach we heard is the interest of bargain hunters. If Roy had really spelled out the dollars and cents reasons for buying now, I think the sale would go something like this.
In a few months, the depreciation will amount to... I'm not really gaining anything by buying now.
Mr. Robbins, thousands of car buyers wait until the end of the year to trade because of the savings involved. Just as many women buy clothes during the end of the season sales. Here, let's take a look at the figures again and see exactly what savings we are offering you on a new Hudson right now during our clearance sale.
All right, sure. Now, let's see what savings are involved, if any.
Fine. Now, first of all, because we have to get rid of $1,000 for a car listed in the book here as being worth $550. You've seen that, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you showed me the figure in the book.
All right, that's a $450 savings to begin with. We'll mark that down here.
Okay.
Now, if you were to trade against next year's model, your car would be a year older, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's true.
All right. Here's the resale figure in the book on a car of the same make and model as yours, but a year older. You see, it's worth $100 less than your car, right? So you save that 100 by trading now. I'll add that to the $450, and we get a $550 savings so far. Are you with me?
Yeah. Go on.
Now, in order to drive your car safely for the next few months, you'd have to put a set of tires on it, get a new battery, perhaps tune up the engine. And that would cost at least, $100, wouldn't it, altogether?
I suppose so. That sounds like a reasonable estimate.
Okay. That adds up to a $650 saving by buying now.
Yeah, but the new model would have a higher resale value.
Mr. Robbins, you're trading in a 4-year-old car. Now, do you expect to keep your new car for a few years?
Well, yes, I think so. I can't afford to trade in every year. I don't think I would, anyway. I believe in keeping a car 3 or 4 years or so.
Well, as I showed you, by buying this year's model, you're saving $650. Yet, when you trade this car 3 or 4 years from now, 1 year's difference in age, as you've seen in the book yourself, amounts to only $100 or so. And if you trade again at this same time of the year, you'll still get a wonderful deal. No matter how you figure it, we're giving you an opportunity right now to save $650. If you wait for the new models, which come out in about 2 months, you would lose that $650. In other words, you'd be paying $325 a month for the privilege of driving your old car. Can you see that?
Yeah. Now, that does change the picture, all right. But I could buy the new model of another make of car right now. Well, maybe that's my best bet.
Mr. Robbins, that car would become a used car as soon as you drove it a block from the dealership and be worth several $100s less. And as I explained before, you couldn't get anywhere near the deal we're giving you. There's too much demand for new models when they first come out. Matter of fact, instead of over-allowing on the book value, as we did, you would most likely get less than book value for your present car. You'd have to pay out at least $700 or $800 more than the deal we're offering you. And you wouldn't get the Hudson ride and performance and the exclusive Hudson features, which you agreed were important to you.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. To tell you the truth, the one thing that bothers me is the Hudson does have a high depreciation.
Well, let's see if it really does, Mr. Robbins. We're talking about a cash difference of $2,400, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's the figure you gave me.
All right. Now, if you keep your new car 4 years, as you did your present car, and you trade it in this time of year again, we most likely can give you the same allowance, $1,000. Now, deduct that $1,000 from the $2,400 you paid for the car, and the net cost to you for 4 years of use is $1,400. That's only $350 a year. Mr. Robbins, that's as low a rate of depreciation as you'll find on any car in Hudson's price class. Matter of fact, a Ford salesman I know told me that they were getting $600 from people who traded in 1-year-old Fords. Don't you agree $350 a year is a low cost for a Hudson? That's less than $1 a day.
I must admit I didn't realize it was that low.
Mr. Robbins, I've made the order out on your car. Now, you mentioned you wanted to finance it.
Yeah?
Well, one more good reason for buying now is because of the smaller cash difference, your monthly payments will be much lower than they would be if you waited for the new models. Just write your name on this line here, and you can start driving your new Hudson tomorrow.
Well, okay. I guess I'm getting a good deal, all right. Where do I sign? On this line here?
Nice going, Roy. That was good selling, particularly the way you handled that objection about depreciation. Of course, we all realize it's easier to make sales in a store than in the showroom. But I think everyone will agree the job of selling cars when the model year is coming to a close doesn't seem quite as tough now as it might have to some of us before this meeting. A stack of good ideas were brought out in this session. Put them to work and you'll make more sales and more money. Keep in mind that the current model is brand new to the prospect, even though you have been talking about it for almost a year. So show enthusiasm in your talk about this year's Hudson. Remember, the prospect will be hearing it for the first time. Good luck and good selling.